ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back.
It's Friday.
You know what that means.
It's time to kick back with the best sports podcast around. Trying to make a bag.
Absolutely. You guys know what we love to do over here. We got another beautiful slate planned for you guys tonight. We got I can't say all three. We got two of our three major sports that we can talk about and get into, but
we're almost there.
Yeah.
And technically speaking, it's a preseason.
I did see that. I do know the Lakers. I believe the Lakers play tonight. I think they opened their preseason against the Heat or something of that nature. So.
I got so confused because I got a notification the other day for first basket, and I was like, what?
Well, I know they played. The Pelicans played at like a Melbourne game yesterday. They played against Melbourne United or something, and then I know Knicks and Sixers, I think, played in Abu Dhabi or something yesterday. So a couple of overseas games. The NBA is starting to branch out a little bit like our other sports have been lately. So
of course.
It's kind of cool to see. But in the meantime, you guys see the screen we're on. We're on the MLB screen. You guys know where we're at in the season. We're in the playoffs. And the wild card wild card round has officially wrapped up. And
for better or worse.
Yeah, and we have results whether we're happy about them or not. It happens. We'll save the best for last. I guess we can start with the first series. Just a quick little talk about each series. Tigers and Guardians matched up in the first round. And it went all three games. It was a bad series at all. Game one was almost historic for possibly the best pitcher in all of baseball, Mr. Tariq Skubal, who went 7 2/3 innings and punched out 14 people.
Yeah.
Insane.
Crazy to see in a playoff game at that.
Yeah. We all knew who Tariq Skubal was. We know he's the heart and soul and the face of that Tigers pitching rotation, maybe in the league, like I said. But to see him do it in postseason play was very impressive. I know the record for postseason strikeouts was 17, which was a very long time ago. So he was closing in on that, which was cool to see. But got a little loose there at the end and had to be pulled. When obviously it's postseason play. Players are on a little bit shorter of a leash.
Absolutely.
Guardians came back game two, tied it up with a big win. And game three was kind of close for most of the game until the Tigers pulled away in about the sixth inning. Ended up making that game a little more lopsided than it looked in the beginning of the game. Tigers finished out that series 2-1 and move on and play the Seattle Mariners in the division series.
Yeah, an exciting series. We've been waiting to see the Mariners, and Mr. Cal Raleigh has been waiting and watching, lurking in the second round. So this will be exciting. Obviously, right now the Mariners are favored, but we know this Tigers team is deep. We know they got the bats, and obviously the pitcher.
Of course. We won't see Tariq Skubal until later in this series. We will see him because the division series moves to a best of 5 instead of the best of 3 in the wild card. So we'll see Skubal again at some point in this series. But the Mariners are fresh, and they have one of the most deep rotations in all of baseball, which is a big reason why they're favored to come out of the AL this year. I believe they haven't announced a starter yet. I would assume it's probably somewhere around like a Brian Wu or George Kirby or something like that, one of their absolute top ace pitchers. But it'll be a very interesting matchup. I think personally the Mariners should fare pretty well in that series outside the Skubal game. But we'll see. Obviously, things can change. Mr. Cal Raleigh finally back, as you mentioned, which would be cool to see. But a lot of other big matchups in the second round of the playoffs as well. Next series that wrapped up was the Cubs and Padres, another 3-game series. Went back and forth for the most part. Cubs took game 1. Padres came back game 2, stole one, and game 3 came down to. I can't say it came down to the wire. It was a 3-0 dub for the Cubs, or 3-1 dub after a late home run from the Padres.
I thought the Padres put up more of a fight, honestly.
I agree. I think the biggest thing for the Padres was just their pitching rotation isn't as good as some may think it was. Yu Darvish kind of got tore up in game 3 and got pulled in the first inning. So that obviously wasn't great for those guys. Had to get deep in the bullpen very early in the game, which is never a good thing. But the Cubs showed that their offense, it can be the offense that it was to start the season.
Yeah. We
saw the Cubs start very hot. They had a very great start to the season. We're leading our division for a while until about the halfway point of the season. And when their bats get hot, we all know what they're capable of.
Absolutely. PCA, Suzuki, Michael Busch, all leading that team. Obviously, we saw the random, almost fall off and cold streak of PCA, but
make sure it didn't stop.
But obviously, Suzuki stepping up, keeping his pace. Michael Bush, like you had mentioned a few weeks ago when we were talking, almost out of nowhere, popping up and being a huge leader for this team.
Absolutely. Like you said, the PCA struggle kind of continued into the most part for at least the first 2 games of the season, or first 2 games of the postseason. Through the first 2 games, he was 0 for 6 with 5 Ks, which is obviously not something you want to see out of a young guy like that. But we know what he's capable of, and we know when PCA gets it going, he can stay hot for a while. And I believe he had an RBI or 2 in that last game, which obviously helped him a lot get that final dub over the Padres pace. So he stepped up when needed, which is a good sign.
Absolutely.
The Cubs will move on now to face, on paper, the most winning team in baseball, the Milwaukee Brewers.
Yeah, in division matchup.
Yeah, but yeah, man, the Brewers turned up. I really don't know what else to say. It was
Stole first place in the division from the Cubs. Came out, especially towards the end of the season, on fire.
Yeah.
But a team that you don't see in the huge home run numbers still came out and the most winning team in baseball.
Yeah. They don't have, on paper at least, the most eye-amusing pitching rotation. Really the top of their order with Freddie Peralta is the best it's going to get. Not many big names after that, but guys that got the job done. The biggest part for the Brewers was their offense. Like you said, there's a bunch of guys on there that can get hot. There's a bunch of guys that hit the ball very well, whether that's home runs or just inside the park itself. And their offense really carried them through a lot of those games. They were one of the most high-scoring teams in all of the league. And it shows with their 96 win mark, which is very impressive. Like I said again, the most in baseball. So that in its own right says something. I think this series will be back and forth. I think this might be a 4 or 5 game series in my opinion. I don't know who I would take. Like I said, both these offenses can get hot. I think on paper, when healthy, the Cubs have the better pitching rotation. Obviously missing a few guys, but still got guys like Shada and Italian and a couple other guys that have been playing decently well. Matt Boyd. But I don't know, man. If the Brewers can get the bats going, it's going to be hard to keep up for those guys.
Yeah, the Brewers could definitely get 1 or 2, but it's about if they could sneak 3 or 4.
Yeah, it's going to come down to that pitching rotation, how the managers handle the bullpens and how long they let some of these games go for some of these guys. I think Peralta will come out game 1 with a very fresh Brewers team. I think they'll probably take game 1. But after that, it's going to get very interesting because the pitching guys for the Brewers go downhill after Peralta.
Yeah.
Third game, the wild cards, or third series of the wild card series was the
Yankees and Red Sox.
Absolutely, the battle, the big rivalry, Boston and New York. And I guess it didn't disappoint. Like I said, wild card series are 3-game series, so they get through pretty quickly. But a little bit of scare for the Yankees in game 1.
Yeah, we still needed all 3. Obviously, the Yankees, game 1 looked like the mid-season Yankees. That kind of cold streak drop off where they just couldn't put the bat on the ball when it mattered. They couldn't get runners in and kind of slipped one away.
Yeah. And at that point, you're 1 game away from elimination.
Exactly.
So it's time to turn up. I think the biggest thing for me is some of these names, at least for the Yankees and the pitching rotation, people think are supposed to be just fantastic. Carlos Rodon, Max Fried, a bunch of these guys that have great repertoires, but sometimes they just don't live up to that name. And I think that's kind of what happened later in the season for the Yankees with the collapse to the Blue Jays.
It's expected because they're Yankees.
Of course. But they fought back in game 2, got a big W.
Jazz Chisholm came out like 2018 LeBron in the finals.
Facts. I believe Ben Rice, in his first ever postseason appearance, finally came back off the injury list. Smacked a home run in his first pitch of his first plate appearance in the postseason. So
absolutely,
that was a huge start for them.
Got them boys turning up.
Facts. Ben Rice is a huge piece to that offense. We've seen that when he was healthy during the regular season. He can hit the ball, and he can hit the ball hard. The biggest story was Game 3 for me, and the rookie on the mound for the New York Yankees absolutely did his thing. Cam Schlittler, I think that's how you say it. Schlittler. I don't want to get banned.
Hey,
saying the wrong name.
That's the boy's name.
Yeah,
that's what the Yankees did to us.
Yeah, but
you seen some of them boys' name in the draft? We're going to lose our show going through some of these mock drafts in a few years.
Facts.
I got General Booty going number 1. He's a real good prospect. I like the way he gets wide with the stance. Boom.
Yeah, that boy nice, though. But yeah, once again, the biggest story for those guys, Game 3, they won 4-0. Cam Schlittler came out, pitched 8 innings, 107 pitches, and punched out 12.
Light work.
The best performance from any of the Yankees pitchers through the first 3 games by a long shot. His first ever postseason appearance, as I said, he's a rookie, came out and just dominated, bro, and didn't allow a single earned run. He did allow 5 hits, but never allowed any of those to get across home plate. And 12 punch outs is just crazy.
It came out like Brent was doing. We know the boys in Boston have the bats. Jaron Duran, Roman Anthony, the list goes on and on. They're in the playoffs for a reason. But to come in as a rookie at 23 years old and to make a mark like that and get your team the dub, being 1 game from elimination.
Yeah, 100%. So huge for those guys. Poor Red Sox didn't get a single run across in that game. They went through a couple different pitchers. Just couldn't get things going that game for any of those guys. Like I said, only 5 hits allowed the whole game. So just a very poor performance and a rough way to go out for Boston. But setting up for another hopefully good postseason run for the Yankees, even without Juan Soto this year.
Absolutely. They will move on to face the Blue Jays, who are bringing out Kevin Gausman in Game 1. Obviously, we still seen him put the bat on the ball, Mr. Aaron Judge, but he hasn't gone yard yet. So I'd like to think he did have Game 1 or Game 2, so he's still some contact, obviously. Going yard in the playoffs is a whole different story than regular season, but with these big names and those bats, you know they're always lurking and waiting.
Oh, 100%. I think this is going to be a fantastic matchup. Both these teams finished the season with 94 wins. It was a fight to the death at the very end of the season for that first round bye.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the Blue Jays did take it over, won the division, and got the first round bye, but they will meet the Yankees in the second round, like you said, and it's gonna be, I think that might be, in my opinion, maybe the second best series of the second round.
Another team that's rested with the big bats of George Springer, Vlad Guerrero, obviously. 100%. So we know how strong they can come out, and this could be a crazy matchup that could, again, go to 5 games.
Yeah, 100%. I think it will 100% go to 5 games. Like I said, these guys were fighting to the end of the regular season. And this is kind of the matchup we were all waiting to see. So Yankees Blue Jays should be fun, and it's the battle of the final 8.
This is literally the prove yourself series.
Yeah, I agree. I think if Judge can get things going, I will say they are the underdog for Game 1, but that is because the Blue Jays have the rest and will have the pitching advantage with obviously their ace on mound, not having to play in the first round. But I think the depth and the experience and just the amount of bats that they have on the Yankees can get the
can get overwhelming. So
yeah,
we'll see how the lights affect both the Yankees and the Blue Jays, but a team like the Yankees under the bright lights often.
100%. We're just in the World Series last year, so obviously now they can taste it and want to get back again this year.
Exactly.
All right, final series of the wild card series, what everybody was waiting for: the Dodgers and the Cincinnati Reds. I just want to say this: we pulled the worst card possible for the first round.
The worst luck in baseball. We finally slip into the postseason, and we pull the World Series winning Los Angeles Dodgers. Yeah, the Monstars.
Yeah,
of baseball.
Quite literally. Were the favorites to win the World Series all year long until the very end of the season, where the Phillies took a little bit of a jump, but they once again are the favorites to win the World Series now. Most books odds above the Phillies now. But man,
let's rip off the Band-Aid. The only series to not go the full 3 games. Game 1, we get Hunter Green, our ace pitcher. It looks like an exciting matchup. And, I mean, we've seen this side of Hunter Green live. We got the rough side of Hunter Green on display when we thought we were going to get the return of Mr. Hunter Green. But then he recovered, had an excellent rest of the season. We get to Game 1. And right back.
Listen, I get it's the Dodgers lineup. This is the best lineup in baseball, 100%. I don't care what anybody says. But man, it's the playoffs, bro. We haven't won a playoff game in 25, 26 years. We finally, only our third playoff appearance since the 1990s. And you come out and pitch a dud. You come out the very first at-bat. You give up a bomb to obviously the MVP in Shohei Ohtani, the greatest baseball player to ever live. I'll die by that. But still, like, come on, bro. Like, you can't come out in game one of the playoffs and just throw Shohei Ohtani a meatball for him to crush.
Of all people.
Yeah, like, it's Ohtani, man. He's the best player in the league. He's going to hit that. But just to continue after that and to continue getting beat up. We allowed 2 home runs to Teoscar. We allowed 2 to Ohtani. We allowed 1 to... There was somebody else that smacked a home run. I believe they hit like 5 home runs in that game. We're up 5-0 by the end of the third inning. Hunter Green got pulled at the end of the third after his horrific third inning where he allowed all 4 of the 5 runs. I don't know what to say, man. I'm disappointed. I'm sad as a Reds fan. I told somebody last night I'm happy we made it. We can say that at the least. But to pull the Dodgers card was rough, and the way we played was rough.
Yeah, to see the fight in our team and these boys to make it this far and to make it taste the playoff, get that experience was inspiring. We talked about the youth and how much potential we have on this roster, so that's again something to look forward to if you're looking for the positives.
Right.
But I mentioned it, I think, on X last night or yesterday at some point, but I said we got to spend the money. It's time to spend the money. We have the depth, we have the farm system, we have the potential. We need to make a move, we need to spend the money, and give Cincinnati what they deserve.
Right. And we need to use our best players. We should never be going into winner go home games without 2 of our top 3, top 4, top 5 best hitters and guys like Sal Stewart.
Yeah, why is Sal Stewart and Tyler Stevenson on the bench for Jose Trevino to get reps? Like, we're playing the Dodgers in the playoffs.
Right. Like, it's not, I don't know. Okay, I'm not going to say that because I don't love Terry Francona. I thought I was going to love Terry Francona. I had super high hopes for him, especially after the disaster that we went through with David Bell all the last couple of years. But to see that essentially nothing changed. Yes, we made the playoffs.
We got flashes and tastes of the old Francona, but I don't know if the spark's gone, if he just doesn't have the inspiration anymore. We have depth, we have bats, and we're not utilizing what we have at all. So something needs to change, or Cincinnati is about to have a riot in the streets.
Yeah.
It's hard being a sports fan for Cincinnati.
Yeah, especially after all the success we've seen in our very early years as a franchise, obviously back before our existence, unfortunately, considering we haven't won a playoff game since before either of us were born. But still, man, it just, as Reds fans, we want to see something cool. We made the playoffs. You gave us a little bit of an adrenaline rush, but to go out and get dominated for 2 games by the Dodgers, I know, but still, just to not even barely put up a fight, well, it was rough to see.
Yeah, our best inspiration was being up 2-0, top of the first in game 2. We held the lead in the playoffs. So, fans got excited, anxiety, an all-time high. Right in the second inning, it was taken away. So, right back to reality. We're right back to the off-season after we got a slight taste of postseason glory. And now we, again, think about next steps.
Yeah. What comes next, I'm not completely sure. This offseason is going to be interesting. Like you said, we have to spend some sort of money if we want any chance of being any better next year.
I think with our depth and some of our pieces, we have expendable pieces. I'm not going to throw out a lot of names because I know the Cincinnati community, again, it's hard being a sports fan. They're going to start throwing bricks through the window and then I mentioned the wrong name.
Facts.
But we have pieces, a deep farm system. We have now pitching to look forward to that we didn't think we had. So we got to spend the money. I know I've been preaching Kyle Schwarber. That's only one piece of the puzzle, but we'd love to see Cincinnati native Kyle Schwarber back. But I think there's things we can do.
Yeah. I want to double check something real quick just because you mentioned Kyle Schwarber. I'm almost positive he had more home runs than like everybody combined on our squad. Not in postseason play, obviously. No, not the offseason. 2025 regular season. I know our home run leader was Ellie De La Cruz with 22. Okay, I guess that may be a little bit of an exaggeration, but for him to over double anybody on our team in home runs would be huge. The man had 130, 120 RBIs on the season, which is absolutely insane. That would be such a massive boost.
We've been talking about power bat. We
don't have one.
Yeah. We saw a glimpse of Sal Stewart and what he may be able to bring. Again, we have people in our farm system, but Kyle Schwarber's Kyle Schwarber. Kyle Schwarber's been top 3 in the MVP race for 2 seasons.
100%. Without an historic season from Cal Raleigh, would have led the league in home runs this year. So, just an absolute baller in himself. Speaking of Kyle Schwarber, the Dodgers move on to the division series to take on none other than Kyle Schwarber and the Philadelphia Phillies.
Absolutely. Another team rested and waiting.
Yeah. In my opinion, this is going to be the best series of the division round. This is going to be so much fun to watch. Kyle Schwarber versus Shohei Ohtani is going to be absolutely lit.
Speaking of versus Shohei Ohtani, Game 1. We talked about months ago that with the injury, they're trying to rest and bring him back for postseason. He pitched long before then, and now that we're at Game 1, none other is on the mound.
Yeah.
Mr. Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah, and this is kind of what they wanted. They pitched Blake Snell and Yamamoto to the first 2 games of the Reds to save Shohei Ohtani because obviously, even as a Reds fan, I can say the Phillies are a lot scarier than the Reds, unfortunately. But you're putting Shohei Ohtani against what was just a week ago the World Series favorites in a team that has bats when healthy everywhere.
Yeah.
This Philadelphia Phillies team might have the second best lineup in baseball after the Dodgers, with obviously the 2 top MVP runners for this side of the NL. And it's going to be fun, bro. Shohei Ohtani on the mound for the first time in the playoffs for the Dodgers is going to be a sight to see. That's
absolutely. Sure. We have a whole lot of action to look forward to, a whole lot of baseball to talk. I'm excited to dive in, especially in the coming weeks. But you know what we do around here? We make bets. But again, it's the playoffs.
Absolutely.
So I wanted to double check. Do we risk playoff home run, or do we build this money line for a quick Saturday come up?
See, the only thing for me with the home runs is we haven't really had a chance to do a whole lot of research, considering there's still 4 of the 8 teams that have yet to announce a pitcher.
That's what I'm talking about. Teams, The home run, especially postseason, it's risky. You got to play your cards right. You know how we are over here at Travis and Jon Show.
Facts. There's been no pitchers announced for either the Tigers or the Mariners. The Yankees have not announced a starter, and the Cubs have not announced a starter yet. So for those games, it's kind of hard to, at that point, you're kind of just guessing on who you think is going to hit a home run because you don't know matchups or anything of that nature.
Obviously, weather is still a day out as well.
Correct. So home run wise, we don't feel safe enough really giving you guys home run picks that we believe in, considering there's not much research we can do at the time until probably, like you said, tomorrow morning or even tonight, maybe at some point. So I think for now, we're going to just stay away from home runs. Obviously, if you want to take a chance on somebody, all the big names are playing. Shohei Ohtani versus Kyle Schwarber. Like I said, Cal Raleigh on the mound. You have Aaron Judge, obviously. And some big bats all over the place. Probably my 2 favorite, without matchups and looking at things, is Kyle Schwarber and Cal Raleigh, just because they're probably 2 of the best bats in the playoffs right now, outside of Judge and Ohtani. But going up against Ohtani for Schwarber will be interesting. We do know Ohtani's pitching. So for Kyle Schwarber to smack one off Ohtani would be kind of cool to see, in my opinion. I don't think they've ever seen each other. There's no bat versus pitch for Ohtani versus Schwarber. So, like I said, probably just stay away from those for now. We might sprinkle on them outside of here, but giving you guys picks that we believe in is a little risky right now. So like you said, we can do some money line lays and talk about a few of these games as we go down the list.
I'm also trying to experiment with some run lines here.
Yeah.
Double checking what those odds were.
First game to start us off our Saturday divisional round will be the Cubs and Brewers. The Cubs haven't announced a pitcher yet, but they did go through quite a few in that 3-game series against the Padres. So seeing a starter will be interesting. Obviously still dealing with some injuries to some of their top guys. But the Brewers obviously have announced Freddie Peralta, their ace, will be pitching game 1 of the playoffs. And when Peralta's on mound, the Brewers are a scary team. When you get the likes of a guy like Peralta back behind those bats when they get hot, that is how they won most of their 96 games. I do believe Peralta was, 14, 15, and 6 or something like that this year. So a fantastic record. But the big question, do the teams with the rest have the advantage, or do the teams that are warmed up have the advantage at this point? It's a story of all sports.
Absolutely. Are they warm or is it rest?
Right. I don't know. I think no matter who the Cubs put on mound, the Brewers will have the pitching advantage in this game.
I think something I like for this game is also the run lines. Or not the run lines, but the total runs for this game. Because we know whoever's on mound, especially after the last series, the Cubs aren't a team that necessarily come out and put 6+ runs on the board. We know the bats are a little shaky for this series, and I think a 7.5, even with this value, or sitting at the normal run line, is really good potential, but obviously still value in 8.5 and 9.5.
What do you think, over or under?
Under.
Thinking under? Okay. I hate that. I think there's really good value. You can bump it up to 8.5.
Depending on the Cubs pitcher, outside of one lineup being extremely out of character, we know that the first 5 to 6 innings should be held to 1 to 2 runs max with these pitchers' ERAs.
100%. I like that. We can run like an under 8.5 for this game. Peralta in his own right probably won't allow very many runs, if any at all, through his first couple of innings, like you said. So I like that. We can run under 8.5 for that Cubs and Brewers game. We go down to the Yankees and Blue Jays. You mentioned earlier, the Blue Jays have announced Kevin Gausman as their starter for Game 1. The Yankees are still to be decided. They went through some of their top guns through those first 3 games to the Red Sox. I know Fried, Rodon, and then obviously the rookie standout, Mr. McCann. So seeing who they put on mound will be interesting. The money line's close on this one again. Obviously, the Blue Jays are favorites.
Sitting at also playing at home.
Correct. With the first round bye advantage, which is obviously always huge. I don't know, man. I like Gausman. Once again, this game will come down to who the Yankees throw out. This might be a bullpen kind of game for those guys, if anything. This is going to be a long series.
I mean, I like the Yankees, I do, but is this the one where Game 1 they fall and they have to again come back?
Definitely.
I mean, we've talked about it all year, same old Yankees.
Right.
They struggle at times. Again, obviously, the bat of Aaron Judge I talked about is something that's always lurking and waiting. It's scary for opposing teams, but I don't know. Gausman, in his own right, is something. They're at home, but again, after playing a whole series, we don't know who the Yankees are going to put out there.
Right. The top of this order for the Blue Jays is no slouch in their own right. So George Springer, Mr. Vlad, Dalton Varsho, Anthony Santander is now back and healthy for the playoffs, which is obviously a huge addition. I can definitely see this being a Blue Jays type of game. Just, once again, they'll have the better pitcher regardless of who the Yankees throw out, pitching their ace in Gausman, who's been really good this year. I like the Blue Jays. We can rock with the Blue Jays on this.
I like that. All right, Blue Jays money line. That moves us to the Dodgers and Phillies. Potentially the most exciting matchup of this second round. Again, Shohei Ohtani on mound for the Dodgers. Carlos Sanchez on mound. Christopher, I've done that so many times. I'm pretty sure I've texted you that same exact sentence. But Christopher Sanchez on mound for the Phillies. Again, a matchup where both teams have announced their starting pitchers. So, here we are, Phillies playing at home.
We discussed this one a little bit off camera. We've also talked all year about the potential of Shohei Ohtani being such a he's a piece on the mound for the Dodgers come playoff time. We've seen his final start of the season. He went 6, almost 7 innings. They were ramping him up.
I think, that's why they held him round 1, is he could be here for 6, 8 innings long term.
Right. And regardless of who you put on the other side of Ohtani, he's always dangerous. This man showed it throughout his whole career. Seeing him back healthy now is a scary sight for anybody. I think even though the Dodgers are underdogs, I think it just obviously has to do with the fact that the Phillies had the rest. They're playing at home. But Shohei Ohtani on mound is hard to bet against no matter what the situation is.
Also, these odds are the exact same value as the Blue Jays and Yankees games.
That is true.
Down to the wire, exact same money line odds.
You got a little lazy on us.
Obviously, all the spreads for these games are the exact same because it's playoff baseball.
Right. But I think the fact that on the run line, at plus 1.5, the Dodgers are sitting at minus 220. I think the books know that this game could really go either way, or at least will stay close for the most part. I really like a Dodgers first game dub with Shohei Ohtani on mound. I think this is a prove-it game for these guys. Ohtani will have his first or second really full game of the season after being ramped up all year. In his first game of the postseason with the Dodgers, I think he's going to come out with a point to prove. And if this man can go 7, 8 innings and punch out 10 people, it's going to be hard for anybody to keep up with that Dodgers offense.
Absolutely, I'm here for it. So we'll slam Dodgers money line.
Plus 106, really good value, especially to add to the parlay. Catch it now before some of these lines could change tomorrow.
Absolutely. Then we get to the late game with still 2 to be determined pitchers.
Right.
The Tigers and the Mariners.
Right.
Mariners at home.
Man, listen, this line is obviously the most lopsided of any of the 4 games. The Mariners, I'm surprised they haven't announced the starter yet, considering they had the rest all week and can pitch their ace.
I would like to, thank Brian Wu.
Yeah. And the Tigers went through Skewball, Flaherty. I don't remember who pitched game 3. I think Flaherty went game 2. I don't remember who pitched game 3. But they went through, obviously, some of their top guys. And outside of Skewball, their rotation's a little iffy at times. Their offense is a little iffy at times. It definitely really depends. They're either going to put up 8 runs or they're going to put up 1 or 2 runs.
You want to look towards Kerry Carpenter, Spencer Torkelson, Riley Green. If those bats are hot, they're okay. Otherwise, we'll shake it.
Right.
This Mariners team has been rested.
They
have a lot of bats.
Oh, my God. They have
Cal Raleigh, Eugenio Suarez, Julio
J.
Rodriguez. Yeah. I mean, the list goes on. The Mariners team is here for a reason. Second best odds to win the World Series before the playoffs started.
Right. They're the favorite to come out of the AL. Man, I think regardless of who goes out there for either team, I think I like the Mariners in this game. They will have the pitching matchup because it's not Skewball on mound. At least I wouldn't think it is after I'm games. I think regardless of what happens here, I do like a Mariners money line here. Like you said, just the offense in its own right is fantastic for the Mariners, no matter who the Tigers put on mound. We've seen at one point Eugenio Suarez was top 3 in home runs behind only Cal Raleigh and like a Shohei Ohtani, maybe it was Schwarber. So they're fantastic. I think we can round this out with a Mariners dub.
Absolutely, I love those odds.
All right, beautiful. So
let's run it back. We have a 4-leg sitting at plus 741.
Yes, sir.
We started off Cubs Brewers. We got Peralta on mound for the Brewers, to be determined for the Cubs. But we know these offenses. We know things don't get super hot. We're going under 8.5 total runs.
Absolutely. First game of the series between 2 divisional teams. It could be very tight before things get rolling, and especially once again just with Peralta on mound, he's going to keep that Cubs offense at bay. Next up on the list, the Blue Jays and the Yankees. Kevin Gausman versus a to-be decided for the Yankees. But it's game 1. The Yankees not necessarily struggled with the Red Sox, but struggled to end the year. The Blue Jays kind of had their number for the most part, stole the top of the division. We think the Blue Jays come out with their ace on mound in game 1 to make a statement and take the dub. So Blue Jays money line.
I love it. I love it. Then we move down to the Dodgers and Philadelphia Phillies. Shohei Ohtani, Christopher Sanchez.
There you go.
Obviously, it's the Dodgers. They're underdogs with the Phillies sitting at home having the rest. But it's the Dodgers. Shohei Ohtani has also had pitching rest. Really in the Dodgers sitting at plus 106.
Yeah. The Dodgers are once again now the favorite on most books to win the World Series. I said it a few minutes ago. I think Ohtani comes out, makes a statement in his first postseason pitching appearance for the Dodgers. They want to get back to that World Series and win another one. Taking Dodgers money line at plus 106 in Game 3. All right, to close out our parlay, the Mariners and the Tigers, neither team which has announced a starting pitcher yet, but we have a decent idea who's going to come out for the Mariners. And regardless of who the Tigers put out, the Mariners have the better pitching rotation. I think they have the bigger bats, the better offense. I think the Mariners are just a better team all around. Cal Raleigh on his MVP push, 60 home runs, coming out to be that guy for the Mariners, wants to lead them to a World Series. They should come out and handle the Tigers. We're taking Mariners money line to close the parlay.
I love it. Again, a 4-leg parlay at plus 741. Running it back under 8.5 total runs for the Cubs Brewers. The Blue Jays money line over the Yankees in Game 1. The Dodgers money line over the Phillies in Game 1. And the Mariners money line over the Tigers in Game 1.
Absolutely. Beautiful. So we're ready for some postseason baseball tomorrow. A lot of postseason baseball left to be played. So it should be fun. I think that'll do it for our MLB section for now. Once again, we're going to stay away from any home run picks just due to non-available research until probably tomorrow morning.
I might throw something out along with our moneyline picks that we posted on our Winnable at winivle.com/Travis Jon Show. It's in our link tree in our bio on Facebook, so make sure you check that out for all of our picks, along with, again, all of our NFL picks and everything else going on for the sporting season of October and fall that is going to have all three major sports.
Facts. Cannot wait. All right. We'll slide things over to the NFL section. You guys know we love to do with our touchdown picks and our breakdowns and things of that nature.
We got some games to recap.
We'll probably speed through these pretty quickly as we have some other things we need to get through.
Absolutely. We got some things we'll recap towards the end of the show and as we get through things, but we'll get there. So, for our NFL slate,
we'll kick things off as we normally do with our Thursday Night Football recap for the start of the week. Week 5 is underway. Crazy to say, we're already into week 5 of the season. It's just a few weeks ago we were talking about the return of football. So we got to enjoy it while it's here. But 49ers Rams, another in-divisional matchup. Both teams coming into the week 3-1. But the 49ers are a very, very, very banged up team. Without their 3 starting wide receivers in Ayuk, Jawan Jennings, and Ricky Pearsall.
George Kittle out at tight end. Brock Purdy also announced out at quarterback.
Nick Bosa out for the season, their top defensive guy. Just a lot of injuries everywhere for those guys. That's kind of has been the story for them in the last few years, unfortunately. Obviously, we hate seeing injuries, but just dealing with a lot for those guys. But they had their main piece back. He's been healthy all year long, and he's been dominating, leading the league in touches on the season. Mr. Christian McCaffrey, as we all kind of had our ifs about him, but he's back to CMC form, and he's been absolutely balling.
Absolutely.
Coming into this game, the Rams were the minus 8.5 point favorites, about minus 400 and something on the actual money line slate. Once again, just due to all the injuries the 49ers were dealing with. But they came out hot. First quarter, Mac Jones looked like Tom Brady. Came out up 14-0 very quick, put the Rams in a lot of trouble. Something we didn't expect to see. Christian McCaffrey through the first quarter was on pace for over 50 touches, which is absolutely insane. I'm pretty sure I would set almost a record for most touches in a game. Don't quote me on that, but I'm just guessing. But they were clicking. The Mac Jones to Kendrick Bourne New England connection showed. The only guy on the team that he was familiar with, obviously outside of CMC, and it proved to be the correct thing to do.
Yeah.
Kendrick Bourne came out, looked like prime Randy Moss. 10 catches, 142 yards. Absolutely crazy. Mac Jones came out and threw for almost 350 yards. 2 touchdowns, no picks. Looked fantastic. I do want to mention Mac Jones was dealing with a knee injury coming into last night's game. Went down a couple times on a couple sacks last night. So he was sacked 9 times. And a couple of those were scary. One of those, he went down late in the third quarter, clutched his knee. Everybody thought it was Adrian Martinez time for his first snap ever. Mac Jones went to the sideline, ate a banana.
You see how it had like 11 bananas?
Bro. Yes. Hey, I will say, bananas do help with like your cramps and your muscles and stuff, but I would have threw up at something. You eat 11 of those things in the middle of a football game, and you getting smoked by dudes that are 300 pounds. One of those was coming up the wrong way.
Hey, speaking of when you said prime Randy Moss, by the way.
Facts. If you guys didn't notice the little figurine on the screen, as I'm sure you can see. Little Derek/David Carr, whatever we want to call him. Mr. Chad Johnson / Ocho Cinco. And obviously our prime Moss right there.
But what a Thursday night.
Yeah.
We ended up an exciting 4 quarters. A late time drive by the Rams and a field goal at the end of the 4th. Send them into OT. Rams kicking first.
Yep.
So 49ers got their first possession. Well.
49ers came out, drove down the field. Ended up getting a field goal out of the situation after not being able to score. Left the Rams about 6 minutes on the clock to go down and score. The drive started out fantastic.
Normally that's too much time for Matthew Stafford.
Yeah. They came out, were moving down the field, and then got down to the red zone. Got down to a 4th and 1. And Sean McVay pulled his inner Dan Campbell out. Decided to go for it on like the 15-yard line, which obviously would have been a chip shot field goal.
Yeah.
Ran halfback dive. They Kyron Williams up the middle and hit a brick wall. Got absolutely stuffed and lost the game. No really other way to put it. 49ers were up 26-23, and obviously OT rules. If you don't score on your possession after your teammate does, or after your opposing team does, it's wraps. You get one possession, and Sean McVay will beat himself up for a while after that.
Absolutely. I guess maybe scared of the tie.
Right.
Which, almost the same as a loss, but I don't know. You could have had more opportunities. Could have got a turnover on defense. You could have made something happen. A lot of rough spots for the Rams. Not looking like the normal Rams. Obviously, Kyron Williams having a fumble late that almost cost them the game in general. Technically did.
Might have cost them the game, yeah.
Yeah, technically did, but the field goal able to save it for OT.
Yeah.
But still.
I will say, those kind of calls are always going to go one way. You're either going to look like a genius when it works, or you're going to look like the worst coach in the NFL when it doesn't. That's kind of the risk you take when you make those kind of calls. I can't necessarily say I blame Sean McVay for a couple of reasons. Kyron Williams was kind of dicing up the middle of that defense all night long in those halfback dives. He was getting positive yardage. And Mac Jones was absolutely dicing up the Rams defense. They had no answer for Mac Jones and Kendrick Bourne or CMC. I can't necessarily say I blame him. They were moving the ball down the field every time they touched it. I probably would have went for it too. Obviously, it didn't work, so now he looks like a horrible coach, which we know he's not. Sean McVay is one of the best coaches in the league. But it sucks to go in after that type of game and to lose it off one play like that. Is unfortunate for everybody involved, except the 49ers, obviously. But it was still a heck of a game. A couple things that came out of that game. One, Puka Nacua set a franchise record, or set an NFL record for most catches through the first 5 games in NFL history. I believe he ended with like 52. The record was 49. He had 10 catches last night. He quite possibly might be the best receiver in the NFL right now. I love Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson, but
ever since his breakup situation, Puka Nacua has been a different breed.
He's had at least 10 catches in every game but one where he had
His lowest game was like 94 yards.
and 9 catches, yeah. He only had 85 last night, but he had 10 catches and a touchdown. He's just been absolutely fantastic through every game of the season. Blake Corum last night might have lost
his job.
Everything that he was doing, through the first 4 games of the season, Blake Corum was almost splitting carries with Kyron Williams, giving him a little bit of break, which we kind of expected, being Kyron Williams took every snap last year. He came out his first carry, gained 13 yards. I know this because I had him on my parlay for 15 plus. He came out 13 yards on the first carry, fumbled a crack toss snap the next play, and didn't see the field again. Kyron Williams played every single snap after that. Keep in mind they were down most of the game, so they were playing a lot of catch up with Ben Stafford through 47 passes, or attempted 47. But unfortunately, Blake Corum almost ruined everything for himself. I needed 2 yards in my parlays. The only leg it didn't hit, so we love that. But just a couple takeaways from that game. The 49ers are going to be perfectly fine. Either that or the Rams defense is just atrocious. Because Mac Jones just dotted everything.
With a practice squad.
Yeah. Literally not. Well, hey, I will say his top 3 receivers are on paper at least. Were the same 3 receivers, or 2 of the same 3 that Patrick Mahomes won a Super Bowl with. Demarcus Robinson and Marquez Valdez-Scantling were on the Super Bowl roster for the Kansas City Chiefs. And I just want to mention that. I don't believe Kendrick Bourne was, but
On place your bet for the 49ers.
Super Bowl push. See, I'm telling you. Hey, if Mac Jones
All I'm saying is my cash out is still the same for my Steelers Packers Super Bowl bet.
See?
Slam it.
See? The Packers are unfortunately 2-1-1 now, but that's a story for another day.
Should be 4-0.
Yeah, unfortunately. Lost the big game in the Browns after a blocked field goal. And then, I gave up a 40-point tie to the Dallas Cowboys. A couple crazy weeks for the Pack fans over there. But a very interesting Thursday night. It was still a good game to watch. OT is always fun no matter who's playing. Close games are always interesting. But the 49ers came out with the dub after being the huge underdogs and showed that even with the injuries, they still need to play ball.
We still got a lot of football on the slate.
Yeah, but hey.
The first week for bye weeks.
Yeah, the time has arrived. Bye weeks are upon us. Whether you're a fan of the team or if your fantasy team's going to feel it.
Mine definitely is, as well as having Malik Neighbors.
Yeah. I did want to mention that, unfortunately, last week we did suffer a couple season-ending injuries for a couple of guys. Malik Neighbors being one of those with a torn ACL. James Conner being another with a dislocated ankle or something. Najee Harris with a torn Achilles. Tyreek Hill with a dislocated knee and 3 ligament tears in the same knee.
Yeah.
Who could be a whole story, but we may never see again. That's a story for another day. But man, it's just the injury bug sucks. It hits us every single year, but it's hitting hard this year.
Absolutely.
Lamar Jackson's going to miss at least this game, maybe more, with his hamstring injury in the Chiefs game.
Obviously, Joe Burrow going down decently early
this season, unless they make the playoffs, which isn't looking very likely right now with Mr. Jake Browning. But man, it sucks, bro. A lot of these guys, CeeDee Lamb out for a couple weeks now. I don't remember. There are a couple others that aren't completely crossing my mind right now, but regardless, man, it just seeing injuries for anybody, any team, it's just.
Justin Fields just came back last week from his concussion. Brock Bowers has now not practiced for 2 straight days.
McLaurin's out again.
Yes, Bucky Irving
Out.
spotted after his
Basically,
walking boot.
Rashad
I'm pretty
White.
sure it was announced already that he was going officially this morning.
Yeah, well, his fantasy football progression is 0, so I was just assuming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, it just sucks, man. We never want to see people get injured. But we can go down a couple of these games. We're not going to have time to break down a lot of these games completely. We got some other things we got to get through before we're all done here today. But we'll go down each game just very, very quickly. I do want to mention the creatine Caucasians got their first dub last week for the Giants over a Chargers team that was absolutely balling. Jackson Dart and Cam Scatterbo might be the future for the Giants. Unfortunately, obviously the neighbor's injury, but still some
Jackson Dart running one end to the end zone.
Almost.
What was the most depressing part was seeing how happy Malik Neighbors was.
Yeah. And now, unfortunately, and it's just it's a sad story even for non-Giants fans. So prayers up for Malik Neighbors and everybody else that was injured in these past couple of weeks. Wishing speedy recoveries to all those guys. First game on my slate, I think it's just. I guess we'll start. My first game is always the Saints game because I have their little.
Yes, but as for this Sunday, the first official game, because it's another overseas game in London.
Second week in a row, the Minnesota Vikings.
And the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah.
Who have officially announced Dylan Gabriel as their starter.
You're absolutely right. Finally hanging up the reins of Joe Flacco, who they thought was going to be way better than he was.
I think we need to mention that in an alternate universe, Shedeur Sanders would be the starting quarterback for the Ravens right now, as he's currently backing up Dylan Gabriel on the Cleveland Browns. So, shout out to the Shedeur family for the decisions they've made.
Yeah, definitely some interesting ones.
But we got a 2-2, weirdly inconsistent Minnesota Vikings against the poverty Cleveland Browns and the debut of Dylan Gabriel.
Yeah, I believe Carson Wentz will start again this week. I think J.J. McCarthy is still out. I guess he's not on the injury report, but I've seen nothing about him starting this week. So I don't know if that's going to be like a game time decision or not. But it being an early game, I would assume it's probably going to be Carson Wentz. But this game probably not going to be worth waking up at 9 o'clock in the morning for. I'll tell you that much. I definitely won't be. Carson Wentz versus Dylan Gabriel.
Yeah, the Vikings are without J.J. McCarthy and the majority of their offensive line for Sunday's game.
Love that. So slam Browns money line.
Absolutely. Dylan Gabriel will put a shot on Joe because it's already done things right.
One shot in the ball. Touchdowns in back-to-back weeks. He's been
Shout out our fantasy sleeper.
Facts.
Our fantasy draft guide, as he was one of our sleepers.
Facts. Called it. But yeah, just not a whole lot to talk about that game outside, obviously, like you said, the debut of Gabriel. The Browns have a defense that can compete with anybody in the league. So if they can get an offense rolling, maybe they can string a couple wins together. We'll see how Gabriel fares. Outside of that, not a bunch of huge stories in that game.
Absolutely. And I mean, we start our Sunday off with a few games that, may not be spotted a lot on Red Zone. As our next game, back to our 1 o'clock slate, we get the 1-3 Texans and the 1-3 Ravens.
Yeah.
So that's next.
Yeah. I mentioned this a second ago. Ravens are officially without Lamar Jackson this week. Cooper Rush will be the starter in place. And for the first time this season, the Ravens open as the underdogs to a very underwhelming Texans team. Texans squeaked out their first dub last week over a very poor Titans team. 26-0, but before that came in 0-3. CJ Stroud, as much as I love him, I will never not love him. That's my guy. But he's had a little bit of a struggle to the start of the season again this year. Still without, obviously, quite a few of his receivers and some old linemen that they traded away or got rid of. So just trying to do a lot over there, but I will say the defense has been very underwhelming. I had high hopes for that defense. They have one of the best pass rushing duos in all of football, with Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson, Derek Stingley, and just a bunch of depth over there, coached by a defensive-minded guy, D'Amico Ryans. They got to figure something out. Coming in as the favorites in this game due to Cooper Rush, I think the Ravens will lean a lot on the Derrick Henry train this week. Hopefully he doesn't fumble the ball again. But I think it'll be a lot of running.
Essentially a must-win for the Ravens, especially with how division standings are. But I think it'll be an even-paced game. I think the Ravens may slip it out if they're lucky, but I don't know. Cooper Rush is horrid if he has to throw the ball. So if the Texans and defensive-minded D'Amico Ryans can hone in on Derrick Henry, the Texans have a really good shot to also stabilize themselves.
Yeah. Personally, on the betting side of things, I'll probably stay away from D-Hen this week. I know, obviously, he's going to get a lot of touches, but it's going to be a matter of the fact if they can get to the red zone for one, and for two, the whole gameplay is going to be stop Derrick Henry. So
absolutely,
going to be very interesting.
Speaking of games I won't touch, we move to the Giants and Saints.
Well, why are you so
1-3?
Why do you
creatine Caucasians and the 0-4 Saints, who
are the
favorites this week?
Listen, we suck. I get that. I know this. So I will say Spencer Rattler has played fairly well. Unfortunately, he's 0-11 through his first 11 starts.
Yeah.
So just the fact that the rest of our team blows. But this could be the week. I do know the Giants came out last week, got a big dub over a very good Chargers team, and the debut of Jackson Dart and boys. I don't know, man. I think if we can stop Dart and Cam Scatterbo, we'll have a chance, which is obviously going to be the biggest question. Rattler's been fine. I think he's played decent ball for being in the situation that he's in. Obviously, as a Saints fan, I want to say we win this game. I hope to God we win this game. I don't want to be 0-5. It'd be nice to have at least one dub on the record. But I will say I wouldn't be surprised if we lose.
The number one pick would be sounding real juicy.
Listen, a couple weeks ago I would have loved to have said I wanted Arch Manning, but I don't know. The start of his season's been a little rough in its own right. But yeah, man, I don't know.
You don't want Drew? No.
No, I don't want Drew Rattler.
You don't?
No.
No.
No. At this point, if anything, just draft a positional player.
Jeremiah Love.
Facts. Trade AK. I love AK, but
put AK at quarterback.
Jeremiah
That's a
Love,
Wildcat.
He might be the most impressive player in the whole
Run Wildcat for a season once Arch redeclares for college, then get Arch.
See?
After Kamara leads the league and everything.
Arch and Jeremiah Love back there. Interesting.
After a season of Alvin Kamara and Jeremiah Love back.
See? Back to AK and Mark Ingram days, you know what I'm saying? Get the best running back duo in the league at one point.
At one point.
Yeah, don't go heavy on this game on anything except a Cam Scatterbo touchdown because our defense is atrocious. But yeah, if the Giants win, I'm not surprised. If the Saints win, obviously I'm happy, but I'm not getting my hopes up.
Broncos and Eagles. The 4-0 Eagles as well.
Listen, I completely agree with Drew Brees. They are the worst 4-0 team in NFL history. As much hate as I have, I don't like the Eagles, bro. I quite frankly don't. Their offense is beyond boring.
The only team yet to have 300 yards through 4 games.
Saquon Barkley called Adrian Peterson to ask him what he's doing wrong because the start of his season has been that bad. I don't know, man. I'm sick of Jalen Hurts stealing touches from Saquon Barkley. When your quarterback has more rushing yards than your 2,000-yard running back from last year, you have a problem. This man, I'm pretty sure last week did, or maybe it was the week before, one of these halves went the entire half without completing a pass, which is crazy when you have a duo like A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. Those guys are beyond frustrated. I think regardless of Nick Sirianni's success, he needs fired.
I've been on that train. He's a fraud. They can tell that by a good roster.
Horrible. The Eagles are bad. Don't let this 4-0 fool you. I don't think they're Super Bowl favorites this year. Jalen Hurts is not the guy. I'm sorry. Outside of if you take away his touch push and his rushing touchdowns, you would have nothing to look at. This guy would have one of some of the worst stats for any starting quarterback in the league. He can't sling the ball. The offensive scheme since Kellen Moore left has been atrocious. I don't know what they're doing over there. I think the Broncos can get an upset this week. I'm just going to put that out there. Bo Nix, if he plays anything like he did last week, I understand he played a horrible Bengals defense, worst defense in all football. But if he can play anything like he did last week, they could have a very good chance. All I'm going to say.
We move down to the Cowboys and Jets.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, this is another game that's not very intriguing. Dak Prescott, I will say, is leading the league in passing yards. Pickens had a big week last week. 2 touchdowns in that overtime game, almost 150 yards. Breakout game for you, boy.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about it.
And the Jets lost to the worst team in football, Miami Dolphins. So I don't know. Justin Fields had an all right game.
The Jets may quite possibly be the worst team in football.
Yeah, especially after losing the Dolphins. There's not really much debate left. I think this should be a Cowboys dub, but we all know how that goes. Maybe Aaron Glenn finally gets a dub under his belt. Maybe he starts 0-5. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But slam a Pickens touchdown, I'll tell you that. You don't fry sauce. Listen. It may be one of the hottest takes I've ever said, but I don't think Sauce is that good. I don't think he's a top 5 corner. I really don't. What has he done to be a top 5 corner? I think he had one, maybe 2 picks all of last season, the entire year.
That doesn't mean his coverage rate wasn't good.
He's horrible. I promise you, Pickens is going to fry him this week. Watch. Mark my words. Cowboys win by 40.
Well, Pickens going to have 2 receptions for 14 yards.
He's going to have 2 receptions, 187 yards, and 2 touchdowns. That's what he's going to have.
That'd be historic. You're going to have 90 yards
Facts.
and 2 catches he gets.
Because he's about to
and take him to the house.
Blow by Sauce. Mark my words. All right, we got to speed up this process. We're going to run out of time like we did last week.
Yeah, Raiders Colts.
Slam Colts. I will say, Ashton Genty's Michael Myers stance is back, and he had the.
You see, they asked Pete Carroll about it. He said they asked him, "How do you feel about his stance being back?" He said, "I love it."
Then why did you take it away? I think it was more to do with Chip Kelly, because when he came out in that interview, he talked about it at the beginning or during the preseason. But you see what happened. Genty had more yards and more touchdowns in that one game than he did through the first 3 games of the season with his weird stance. Or, I guess, normal stance to most people.
What did you think of Ashton Genty going back to his original college stance in the back? I loved it.
Facts. As you should. Because he just put on the performance of a lifetime. So safe to say Michael Myers is back. I think it's cool. He may run wild every game of the season now, which would be crazy. But the Colts have been fantastic. They lost a close one to the Rams last week. Daniel Jones might be in the MVP conversation, so I never thought I'd say. But they're good. They're the big favorites for a reason. I think the Colts take the dub to go to 4-1.
All right.
Dolphins-Panthers. Atrocious ball game. No Chuba Hubbard this week.
Yeah, Dolphins will probably get a lucky one because the experiment's over. The Panthers are absolutely atrocious. I tried all I could. Bryce Young is butt cheeks. He's not an NFL quarterback. So expect the Dolphins to, maybe slip a field goal dub or, probably 10-7.
Just stay away from this game. There's no reason to bet on it. The only decent player on the field is Devon Achane, and he's losing carries to Ollie Ford. So
Buccaneers Seahawks with no Bucky Irving.
Facts. I don't think the Seahawks are as good as the record says. I'm surprised they're the favorite in this game. I see a lot of upsets this week. I think Baker Mayfield's way better than Sam Darnold.
Thank you.
I just think the Bucs are better. As much as it sucks that Bucky Irving's out, I will say when Rachaad White has played this season, he's looked somewhat decent. So I think they'll be fine in that aspect. They pass the ball a lot anyways. Chris Godwin back and healthy. Emeka Egbuka looks like a top 5 wide receiver. I think the Bucs should win this one.
Absolutely. Titans, Cardinals. Cardinals are finally getting things in motion as Marvin Harrison finally got in the end zone. The Titans and Cam Ward, he's spoken out vocally about how atrocious they are, but that's just a storm that he has to weather until the offseason, get a pick in, another first or a top 5 pick, some offseason moves. Pray to God that you can get 2-3 wins next season and repeat the process.
Facts.
He's a decent quarterback. He's got a lot to work with. Cardinals should slip another one. I won't say slip because they're also decently high favorites, but Cardinals should get a pretty easy done this week.
Facts.
Commanders, Chargers. Chargers looking pretty steady.
Until they lost to the creatine Caucasians.
Yeah, exactly. So, Commanders also.
I will say, Jaden Daniels is back this week and made a huge difference.
Do the Chargers come out as exposed? I mean, we've seen that. Another upset?
I wouldn't be surprised. Commanders to get back on the train with their QB of the future could be cool. Obviously, no Terry McLaurin, but Deebo Samuel has been that guy. I will say he didn't practice yesterday. He's questionable coming into the game, so that could be a huge thing. This game should be close. If anything, I would take a Commanders spread. I don't think this is a blowout, even if the Chargers do win. So it could be an interesting matchup with the 4:30 slate. Lions and Bengals should be an absolute blowout. The best offense versus the worst defense is always a recipe for a lot of points. I think Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, and Amon St. Brown are all locks for touchdowns.
David Montgomery is the biggest lock for a touchdown because his sister is able to watch him in his first NFL game because she's paralyzed from the neck down. And you know Dan Campbell knows this.
So
I guarantee Dan Campbell's going to make it happen.
Yeah.
Slam David Montgomery.
They might hang another 40 ball. It's the Bengals. This game sucks. So
Jake Browning, another 6 interceptions, and maybe someone in Cincinnati will wake up. Again, pain. You try to go from the baseball season to football, and it's all pain.
I threw it on a comment real quick before we move on from an Instagram post where Zach Taylor said that he still believes in Jake Browning. I think with that statement alone, Zach Taylor should be fired.
I've also been on the Zach Taylor. Zach Taylor is a fraud train. I don't know how he's an NFL coach. You have one of the best offensive rosters in the NFL, and you suck.
Yeah.
Zach Taylor should be fired.
Regardless of who's at quarterback, when Jamar Chase has 30 yards in a ball game and has been under wide receiver 100 3 of the 4 weeks this season.
It was like 2 catches.
Yeah.
2 or 3 catches. I'm pretty sure it was 2.
Shouldn't be enough for a fire.
Patriots and Bills.
Sunday Night Football.
4-0 Bills.
Should be another blowout. Don't get me wrong. I think the Patriots have been good. Drake May has played some really good ball.
They're not prime time good. They're not able to lead 3 or 4 game deciding drives. They don't have that offense. The defense is not going to hold James Cook, Josh Allen, Keon Coleman, Dalton Kincaid. So it should be an exciting dub for the Bills.
Yeah.
Then we get to Monday night. Chiefs, Jaguars.
Now this game could be interesting.
Absolutely. And prove yourself, Trevor Lawrence, Travis Hunter, and the young boys over in Jacksonville. Sitting in a decent record. The Chiefs, obviously, almost a must-win. Slightly better than the Ravens, obviously, after their dub over the Ravens.
Correct.
But former Super Bowl appearance, 3-time Super Bowl winner, Kansas City Chiefs, 2-2, so not looking greatest form either.
Facts. I will say, as questionable as some of these does have been for the Jaguars, they're sitting at 3-1, which is always a great record to 4 games. But Patrick Mahomes had a resurrection game last week, had one of his best games, or probably his best game of the season, with obviously the return of Xavier Worthy, the speedster, who had almost, I believe, over 100 yards from scrimmage. So he's definitely going to be involved. But this will be a good game. Chiefs realistically should win, but I wouldn't be surprised if T-Law and Hunter and all them guys have a good night against them.
It absolutely should be exciting. You know we love to do best around here. We make a bag. We show you exactly what we know about football and all our other sports around here. We're going to hop into FanDuel. We're going to give our touchdown picks for this Sunday, our beautiful football slate, and maybe our last segment for the night or for the day. We will announce coming up what is going on for tonight and technically our basketball segment as well.
Absolutely.
But first things first, we're in FanDuel. We're talking touchdowns.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you want to start, or do you want me to start?
I think you can take the lead with this one.
Okay. I've looked through a couple of these games. I'm not 100% sure. Oh, man, there's a couple different guys that I like here. I think some of these matchups are a little interesting this week. I'm going to go down to this Lions game. I know we talked about it. Like you said, David Montgomery's probably a lock. But I think Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be my favorite this week. They're playing against the worst defense in all of football. It's not even close. Jahmyr Gibbs has been the lead back for the Lions all season long. Even with the story of David Montgomery, both of these guys are going to get their touches regardless. He's not going to phase Gibbs out of the lineup just because of that story. We can see them both score in almost every game probably. He is sitting at kind of crazy odds at minus 240, so if you think there's a little more value in David Montgomery at minus 180, I think either of those guys should be good locks for this week. They'll both get touches in the red zone and things of that nature. But my personal favorite is going to be Mr. Jahmyr Gibbs going up against the Cincinnati Bengals this week.
Absolutely, I love that. I'm going to one of the 1 o'clock primetime games. Decent injury reports for either side. But I'm going Jonathan Taylor against the Las Vegas Raiders. Obviously, Colts sit at 3-1, looking to continue their successful season. I don't know if the Daniel Jones hype train is more of the hype or if he's actually back.
Right.
I don't know. But one thing I do know is Jonathan Taylor is statistically the best running back in football. And I think he's going to get in the end zone again against the Las Vegas Raiders, whose defense has been extremely underwhelming this year.
100%. I completely agree. I'm going to stick on the running back train. I'm going to go, obviously this is my long shot, so we like plus money picks for these reasons. I'm going to slide over to this Texans and Ravens game, and I want to go with the guy that took the starting running back job last week for the Houston Texans. I'm going to go Mr. Woody Marks. That's my long shot of the week, sitting at plus 170. We've seen last week he had, or not way more, but he had a majority of the carries against Nick Chubb. D'Amico Ryans came out in an interview after the game and said that he expects Woody Marks' touches to continue to increase, especially due to the loss of Joe Mixon for God only knows how long at this point. They have no remarks on that. But I think if the trend continues, Nick Chubb will be faded out. Woody Marks is just a more athletic, speedier, just, in my opinion, probably better back at this point due to Nick Chubb's injuries and just age and things. He'll be the lead back. If they're going to score, they're going to have to keep it on the ground with the struggles of C.J. Stroud at some point. I think Woody Marks can get in again.
This is looking like a mighty beautiful slip to me because I'm slamming Emeka Egbuka to finish things out with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers Seahawks sitting at plus 180. Again, Bucky Irving in a boot. He's out for this game. We've seen wide receiver 1 is Emeka Egbuka. Chris Godwin obviously back in the lineup, but that hasn't affected Baker. Obviously, Mike Evans still out, so wide receiver 1 remains Emeka Egbuka. Obviously, Rashad White's going to hold his own. They'll be okay. One thing we know about Baker Mayfield is he's going to sling that rock and they're going to get in the end zone, especially if the Seahawks make this competitive.
100%.
So I'm going to make it Egbuka, and I think this is a beautiful four-leg.
100%. Sitting at great odds at plus 1,382 is it?
Obviously, again, you could separate these picks, but
right.
You know what we do over here at the Travis and Jon Show with our research, so put some trust in us.
Facts. So once again, my two picks are Mr. Jahmyr Gibbs is my favorite / David Montgomery if you like the better value. Woody Marks is my long shot.
I have Jonathan Taylor and Emeka Egbuka as my long shot.
Absolutely. So there you go. There's our top 4 picks for this weekend's NFL slate. Do with those as you will. We only promote responsible gambling. We'll probably have those posted over on the Winnable before Sunday morning if you missed anything live or while you're watching this. And there you are. Let's enjoy some football this weekend.
All right, ladies and gents, I also want to throw a quick mention to a little bit of exciting news we got going on.
Absolutely.
Obviously, we're here local, Indiana, currently. We got some events going on. Indiana Pacers and their season is coming up. This Sunday, we have the Indiana Pacers Fan Jam.
Yes, sir.
It is also announced 1 hour after being posted that the tickets were sold out for this event.
Absolutely. That thing sold out very quickly considering obviously the Pacers were in the finals last year. There's a lot of hype around even without Tyrese Halliburton how this team can play this year. And fan jams are always cool. You get to interact with some of the players and just learn some things and have some fun.
Absolutely.
We had the luxury to get a few extra tickets when we applied to get our tickets because we will be there in person. So we planned on doing somewhat of a little giveaway for you guys for the ones that maybe were at work or just busy at the time and weren't able to get tickets within the hour.
Absolutely. I've seen a lot of different situations and things people posted about what happened. Situations where they weren't able to get tickets or different malfunctions at the time. The short amount of time you had to buy those tickets, but
right.
We have a couple extra tickets that we are going to give away. So stay posted into our social medias. Obviously, this will be out on YouTube, Facebook, all of our socials, so you should be able to hear this. But make sure you stay posted to our Facebook, where we'll be posting a graphic with the quick entry details for that. And I believe tomorrow we will announce the winner and contact the winner so you can attend Fan Jam, obviously, Sunday morning, and we will be there as well.
Absolutely. So if you guys are fans of the show, which obviously you probably will be if you're interested in the giveaway, come say what's up. We can meet up with you if anything. But yes, we're giving away 2 of those tickets for free for you and to bring anybody else that you would like. So we'll have information out about that here in just a little bit after you get done watching this, we'll have a post about it, have all the entry rules and everything. And like John said, we'll probably pick it tomorrow night, tomorrow evening-ish, just to give people some time to get planned if they win and things of that nature.
Absolutely. With that being said, I think this will be our final segment. I think we're bringing things to a wrap tonight for the Travis and Jon Show. We've covered all our bases. Obviously, you see it's we got sun, a little crisp daytime in here. We're doing things a bit early today. We also got some motion that we got to get into. Again, stay tuned to our socials because here a little bit later tonight, we will be attending WWE Friday Night SmackDown.
Absolutely.
We will be in attendance in Cincinnati at Heritage Bank. So make sure shout us out, stay tuned to our socials, and check out our little content we'll have posted while we're there.
Absolutely. We appreciate anybody that tuned in or watched any part of this for any amount of time. All the love and support is obviously huge to us. Things were a little different this week, but we will be back next week live as normal at 6 p.m. Eastern Time to have all of our major sports talk and breakdown as per usual. But I think that's pretty much it. Go check out our socials, our link tree in our bio. Make sure you go follow our Winnable. I believe the link to that is in our link tree as well, but if not, it'll be winible.com/Travis Jon Show. Any closing statements from you?
I just appreciate anybody that tuned in, showed anybody support. Again, it'll be live next Friday, the 10th. If things stay on track, we're technically scheduled for a Halloween episode.
Could get spooky.
Could be really spooky over here with Travis and Jon Show. Make sure you tune in again next week. We've covered all our bases. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. As always,
It's been the Travis and Jon Show.
we're not live.
Not live on Facebook Live
And
TikTok Live. Peace out, y'all. Have a great weekend.